following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network.
Look, you want the truth? Okay, then listen in. My first link was
This is the Listen In Podcast with your hosts, John Cimino and Brandon Gorell, here on the Gear Radio Network.
Coming to you live, ladies and gentlemen, on this, the big game week, which, incidentally, why am I hearing people say the big game instead of Super Bowl? Does the NFL get pissed when people call it the Super Bowl?
I don't know.
I don't know. I heard it on...
I think it's kind of a fun thing that people say.
Yeah, maybe, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Listen In is on the air. We are live on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and wherever fine podcasts can be heard. Shout out to you, Mike Ewing, or a.k.a. Marty Jannetty. Mike Ewing, you told me about Listen In not being on Stitcher. I'm going to get it on Stitcher and all the rest of Gear Network podcasts on Stitcher. Thank you for that. Also on the newradio.com app, I am John Cimino at INJCMoney on Twitter. Joined, of course, over there by Mr. Brandon Gorell. Brandon, say hello.
Ew.
And on today's show, ladies and gentlemen, not a very big show, not going to lie. Obviously, dominating. We're just we'll talk about the Super Bowl. We'll get to that in the second segment after the commercial. But obviously, what has dominated not just the sports world, but the news world just in general. Kobe Bryant, tragically, and I'm going to kill the music right now. We're just going to kind of spitfire right into this because Brandon, this impacted everybody.
Yeah.
This impacted everybody. And so as you all know by now, Kobe Bryant, NBA legend and soon to be Hall of Famer, passed away tragically, this past Sunday, January the 26th, in a helicopter crash, at 41 years old. He was one of 9 total on that, flight that perished, along with, his 13-year-old daughter, Gianna, and as well, some of Gianna's teammates and coaches from the team that Kobe coached, which had Gianna on there: Alyssa Altobelli, John and Carrie Altobelli, Peyton Chester, Sarah Chester, Christina Mauser, Ara Zobayan, the pilot. It was just a gut punch, and I was, and I'll tell you, I was in the shower. I had just gotten out of the gym. I had a freaking killer workout. Did your favorite, Brandon, leg day.
Yeah, buddy.
that day, and I could barely freaking walk. But I got home and I got I went straight to the shower. I set my phone on the sink in the bathroom, and I got in the shower, and I'm in the shower, and literally my phone blew up. Like I could hear. My message was just boom, 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 like nonstop. And I'm thinking, what the fuck is going on here? So I
used to have that. Like, I remember those days where that happened to me. And it was usually my ex-girlfriend, like, just shitting all over me. Because she used to do it in rapid fire, like 30 texts in a row.
Well, yeah, my ex-wife would do that shit too.
Yeah, but, exactly. So you're like sitting in the shower, like, oh fuck, who's pissed at me right now?
My ex-wife doesn't do that anymore, thankfully. But I'm thinking at this point, I have elderly family members, so
yeah,
immediately I'm like, okay, what the hell's going on? So I finish up and I look, and the first message I see is yours that you had sent me, like, whoa. And you sent me, I think it was the TMZ article.
Yeah.
And I looked at that and I was like, get the fuck out of here. It's got to be fake. And then the next message was Ryan Wolfe. And he was like, dude. And then the next message was like, and then I saw like a bunch of other like sports reports, like unconfirmed source, this. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. No way. And so I go out and I bring up NBA TV. And it's just a replay of a game or whatever, and nothing scrolling on the bottom, nothing switch to ESPN, nothing scrolling on there. And I'm thinking,
it took all those sites to like really like get on board with it, and that's why I kept like hoping that it was fake. Like,
right, I was hoping it was like fake.
It was a different Kobe Bryant.
And then the minute I saw, and then I put it on the Pro Bowl, and then next thing you know, they panned to the crowd, and Joe Tessitore and Booger McFarlane for all the shit that we give those guys when they do Monday Night Football. like
I wasn't watching the Pro Bowl, but I can only imagine.
Well, I was just flipping through, like trying to get my mind off of it, and I put on the Pro Bowl because those festivities were going on, but what they did was they pandered the crowd, and then Tessitore like just was shook.
Yeah,
and he could barely get it out, and then Booger just like he was like extremely distraught. Like and then it became real, and then all of a sudden you saw the ABC News 3, 2, 1 special report, and I'm like, fuck, and that's when it became real. So Kobe Bryant at 41 years old, Brandon.
I think it was just compounded mostly because, he did it being a good dad and like being a father and having a daughter and like having to be there in like the last moments of her life, knowing that your life's over too. Like, I can't imagine what that feels like. I don't ever want to know what that feels like. But it just sucks that it wasn't like he was out joyriding and it was, a stupid accident or anything. I mean, he was legit going to his daughter's basketball game. He'd been taking, the helicopter travel for at least a decade now, because LA traffic is insane. So if you want to be able to get places and you want to be able to, get in the gym, get training, get there early and keep on it, that's the way to go. A lot of celebrities take, a lot of athletes take it in LA because LA is just so hard to navigate. He's on his way to do that, and he's just being a dad and just, any day, like it's any day. It could have been just a normal Sunday, like,
right.
And then poof, your number's up, like, and, and just post-career Kobe is, I think, what makes this most tragic, because Kobe has been like, he had the Mamba mentality. He was, known as a dick. Because he was so competitive and all he wanted to do was win. And, he was really hard on some of his teammates because he wanted to raise their game and some of them couldn't handle it. There's all the talk about that and how hard he was when he played. But once he hit retirement, man, it's like he just flipped the switch and like he was like super accessible, like doing things outside of basketball, doing things for basketball, like just
the younger talent.
Talent, Jason Tatum.
All of them, have been.
He worked with Jason Tatum in the off season, and he broke down his game, like that detail that he was doing on ESPN. That was so fucking cool, and it just, and even the way he's embraced LeBron, like a lot of LA didn't really want to embrace LeBron, like they were not having it. They were like,
this was Kobe's town, and not the king. The king
was
can't
the first
come here.
One
he's
to
not
come
the
in
king.
And say, hey, he's our guy now. Get behind him, and he was there for him, and and his last tweet is one of congratulations, not saltiness or bitchiness that my record or whatever.
Right.
I mean, it was classy as possible. And then you start hearing all the stories, and then you start hearing all the, the anecdotes that people had, when they're in their encounters with Kobe. It's just like, dude, what a fucking loss.
Yeah.
What a fucking loss.
I
and
mean,
it's like,
to
he's
say it
so
was
young, and he just retired recently. Like, they just recently retired his number. And now we're in the past tense. Like,
right.
I still can't get over that.
It's still unfathomable to me that we're talking about him in the past. Since I wrote a blog on
GearNetwork.com. A fucking Oscar.
Right. You want an Oscar. I wrote a blog on GearNetwork.com the other day because I was very tempted to do a JC Money Show special to talk about that and maybe bring on Mike Skyros, another pro wrestler that is very well versed in basketball. I've talked basketball with him a lot privately to bring him on, but at the time I couldn't really. I was very, very sad. I was very shook about it, and it wasn't because of It was more the father aspect. I was able to relate to Kobe at different periods of time in my life. And in this blog, I explained again, gearnetwork.com. If you have a moment, listeners, go to gearnetwork.com, search for Mamba Forever. That's what I entitled the blog. But it discusses when I discovered Kobe, he was, a year and a half older than I was, 17 years old in high school. Or just out of high school being drafted in the NBA. That's when I started following him. I followed him from that point, from his rookie year until the Colorado incident. And I admit I was one of those people that were like, oh, fuck Kobe, after that whole Colorado incident thing or whatever. And I stopped following. And then it wasn't until you actually, believe it or not, Brandon, had texted me in January of 2006. When Kobe was going off on the Raptors during the game. And it was when I lived in my old apartment.
One of my favorite commercials ever, too.
Oh, hit with him and Jalen Rose.
Jalen Rose after retirement. He's like, what do you want? Vodka martini. How many olives you want? 81. He just stares at Jalen Rose. Yeah. Nah, I'm just playing. I want two. That joke for him. He gets it.
That was great. That was a great commercial. Yeah. But it was at that point.
Game was nuts.
It was at that point that I remembered you had sent me a text message saying, "Dude, turn on Fox Sports West and look at what Kobe's doing to the Raptors." And I turned it on, and that's when I saw the 81-point game. And I don't want to say Kobe kind of wrote me back, but because I kind of went in and I'm like, "Oh, I can't stand what this guy did, but man, he's freaking good." And then he became the Mamba, and then the Mamba mentality. And as I was going through some personal things in my life with my divorce and things like that, I kept saying to myself, Mamba, Mamba mentality, this, whatever. So I related, and then, hearing about the type of father he was. And I mean, conveniently enough, my daughter's name is Gianna, unrelated to Kobe. I didn't obviously name my daughter Gianna because he named his daughter or anything like that. But, and just to see how those two interacted is very, very, very similar to how my Gianna and I interact with one another. And so I was able to relate to the guy on through the span of 3 different decades in multiple different ways. So that's why it was such a huge kick in the beanbag for me, because, I didn't
beanbag.
You're right. Exactly. Because, here's a guy that I honestly, despite the fact that he's, beyond a celebrity status, and he was a very relatable guy. He made mistakes just like everybody else did.
I still think the Colorado incident was wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah. I kind of believe that
joke. That Dave Chappelle joke is just like, girl had like 7 different Siemens in her drawers. That's 7 too many. It's so ridiculous. I don't know, man. It reminds me, remember when it happened to Patrick Kane too? Remember that? Yeah. And it turned out that all that happened at the party was that she, said something nasty to her or to him, and then he spit on her. Yeah. And then she claimed the next day he sexually assaulted her, and he gets dragged through the mud, and he almost got cut from the Blackhawks, and then the actual news came out that, hey, there were people here at the party and they saw what happened, and none of that shit happened. And
right.
It just sucks when it is used when something didn't happen, Right. And maybe he did, I don't know. But at the same time, there was no repeat offense. There was nothing.
No, you talk about a guy.
Straight as an arrow.
Right. You talk about a guy that repaired his image, but and I had made mention of this too in the blog, that I felt that, young Kobe tried his best, tried too hard, I think, to get people to like him, to get people to, think of him. Tried too hard to be like Mike, and he didn't really try very hard to be Kobe. And I think after that Colorado incident, and more specifically, the 81-point game was when I think that was the unofficial birth of the Mamba. Because that following year was when he changed to 24 from 8. Yeah. And the Black Mamba was born, and Kobe became himself. And, by the time his career was over, he was revered and celebrated and loved and all that and respected.
I mean,
getting standing O's in Boston and all that stuff.
I think a big part of it too was that there was the stigma that was left behind with the feud with Shaq.
Mm-hmm.
How like they both were oversized egos at that point, where like it was like each one wanted more credit for the championships that they got than they deserved.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what really revived Kobe's career and was kind of like, okay, Kobe is a killer. Kobe is the guy, because 7 years later, he goes out and wins a championship back to back.
Mm-hmm.
To basically go, and it's not like they had that big dominating presence on the roster that they had when they had Shaq, and they had the clutches from Robert Horry, Big Shot Rob, and I mean, they had Dwight Howard, they had Trevor Ariza.
Mm-hmm.
Like they weren't really that great of a team. Like Dwight was okay, but for all intents and purposes, the first run of Dwight Howard Dwight was with Orlando at the time. What am I talking about? He had Pau Gasol.
At one point he was in LA.
I'm talking about in 2009 when they won the championship. They played against Dwight Howard in the finals. Dwight Howard was in Orlando.
Oh yeah.
That season.
That was before.
Yeah, they hammered him, but I'm just saying, like, the roster was Kobe, it was Gasol, it was Ariza, like they just weren't that good.
Artest,
Shannon Brown, Andrew
Yeah.
Bynum, who was a big waste of fucking space. They had end of career Derek Fisher,
Mm-hmm.
Lamar Odom, Sasa Vujacic, Luke Walton. Those are the guys that he was rolling with, and he won back-to-back championships with those teams.
Right.
So I think that's where, like, the second act of Kobe kind of took off, like,
right.
And then his third act was, post-retirement, and
exactly,
for all intents and purposes, the guy was he was everywhere. He was just getting he was just getting started. I mean, he was really successful in business ventures. His basketball camp that his daughter was playing for, and what it did for a lot of those kids. His coaching with them, and the working with the younger players, the film, the children's book that he worked on.
Right.
Like, there's a lot, and he was just getting started. He was fucking 41.
He really was.
Like, he was like a year and a day older than me. His birthday is August 23rd.
Yeah.
And I'm the 22nd. Like, he was born a year before me in a day.
The thing with this is, there's two things that I constantly go back to with this. One is the fact that Gianna was on that that flight, and there had been so much. There was so much made about their relationship and how he felt she had the it factor.
Yeah,
and she had already committed to UConn, and her goal was to play in the WNBA and carry on the Bryant legacy.
Yeah.
In there,
and the moves too, man.
The moves that she had,
turnarounds,
right? And the fact that at 13 years old, her life was cut short before it really had a chance to begin. As a dad, that bothers me, and that made me. I think
that's what makes this the hardest. Like, I
have no shame in saying that I cried tears, like legit big tears. Knowing that, and I'm even getting a little worked up saying this right now because of that situation. And my daughter is, my oldest daughter, who has the same name, relatively close in age there. And to a much significantly smaller scale, has shared the same affinity for bowling that I have.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got this insatiable, desire to learn it and wants to be taught by me, and it relates to me on so many different ways. And it just, and that's one thing. That's number one. But number two, to your point, the third act, the fact that he's not, that just his life was cut short at 41. It has people like
just
you
had
and
a
me.
baby. Like
It just had a baby. It has people like me. And maybe you and maybe others that, maybe older than Kobe or in that age bracket, you question your own mortality, and you look at it from that perspective where it's like, he was 41. I'm 39. I'm turning 40 this year. That could be me, it really puts everything in perspective where I'm a person, that on a personal aspect, I've had some shit happen to me and I've carried a lot of grudges, both with family and, ex-friends and things like that or whatever. And, ironically enough, the day before the tragedy with Kobe, I was on a podcast on another network, and they, were wrestling related. And they had mentioned, one of the things that they had mentioned was, it seems like you've been kind of on a, mending a lot of fences, in recent years. And the one thing that the reply that I had was, as I get older, I realize I really don't have any time, and I don't give a fuck about, these petty little things or whatever. And so then this happens. And the same day this happens, ESPN has Jay Williams, on there, and he's, holding back tears, and he says, whatever things you have, with loved ones or whatever, you got to let that shit go.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks that it takes a tragedy like this to, for that lesson to be out there. And fortunately for me, I learned that lesson through trials and tribulations of my own personal life, but this just really kicked it into gear,
I think, and hopefully it can lead to that for a lot of people. You saw what happened with Kendrick Perkins.
Mm-hmm.
Right afterwards. He tweeted out to Kevin Durant, said, I'm really sorry for whatever I said that hurt you, bro. I really mean that. And, I love you. And I just want this, whatever we have, this beef to end. I think that I'm hoping that will open the door for, like a lot of people to do it, not just in sports, but like just in general. Because as you get older, you start to realize that shit doesn't matter anymore. Like, you waste really a lot of like your energy.
I've personally
on it.
I had a big standoff with my members of my family for some 5-6 years, and I was very bitter about it. And I've mended, 98.9% of those fences. The other 1.1% there, that's on him. But, for everybody else, up to and including, my cousin Tiger Smith and, some aunts and uncles that I for me that I felt wronged me, and, whatever, that shit don't matter. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. And if this teaches you, me, or anybody anything, it's that, we all have a shelf life.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that from an athletic standpoint, because I've used that terminology when I say, I want to come back to wrestling, and because I know I have a shelf life, in terms of performing or anything. But everybody has, your time.
Yeah,
is
we
not
all have a
infinite.
number.
We all have a number. We all have a shelf life, and what you do in that time, it's. Is it really worth it at the end of the day when you're put 6 feet under? Is it really worth to say, yeah, he fucking won that battle? I said he was a cocksucker, and he got mad and he held that grudge, and son of a bitch, he won. What's the point? You know what I mean? So it sucks that it takes a tragedy like this to get that message across to the entire world. But, maybe if the entire world can, learn from that and
this as long as you're not making a steal at the end of the game and then shooting a three, I think we'll be all right. It's fucking stupid.
Kobe Bryant, the Naismith Basketball Memorial Hall of Fame, or Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, is inducting him this year. Normally it's a 5-year window between retirement and induction. This is actually year 4, but because of the situation, because of what happened, he will be posthumously inducted this year. And as well he should. So some, playing stats here for you. His career, he played his entire career for the Los Angeles Lakers, 1996 to 2016, 5-time NBA champion, 2-time Finals MVP. He was the MVP of the NBA in 2008. Bear with me, I'm going through all of that. He was an 18-time All-Star.
More championships too, by the way.
He really could have.
If they didn't veto that Chris Paul trade.
Oh yeah. Or
he got up to heaven and was like, "Yo, David Stern, gotta talk to you."
That's one thing too. If Shaq had never left, if that thing never happened, who knows? It's so. But All-Star Game MVP 4 times, 11-time first team, second team. I could just go on and on.
Multiple gold medal winner.
He gold medal winner. He wore 2 numbers for the Los Angeles Lakers, number 8, number 24, both retired. Finished his career with 33,643 points. That is now number 4 on the all-time list, just recently surpassed by LeBron James. 7,047 rebounds, 6,306 assists. That was his career, but more than that, he was a hell of a dad. Very proud girl dad, if you will. Yeah. And as someone that is also a girl dad that has 2 girls, and I
got one.
That's another thing that I related to him on. So safe home, Kobe Bryant, Gianna Bryant, Alyssa, John, Carrie Altobelli, Peyton, Sarah Chester, Christina Mauser, Ara Zobayan. A monumental tragedy that we won't really know the full details of it for a very long time, but it still stings. So,
yep.
But we couldn't obviously do this podcast and not talk about it because it was a huge thing. So a huge news thing. But any last words on this?
Nope. Rest in paradise. That's it.
Rest in paradise. Thank you, Kobe Bryant. We'll be right back. When we come back, we'll talk Super Bowl right after this. This is the Listening Podcast on the Gear Radio Network. Stick around.
Hey, everybody. How's it going? It's Ryan Wolfe.
Hey, Mr. Perez.
From the Better Live Than Dead podcast. You can catch the Better Live Than Dead podcast on the Gear Radio Network, BetterLiveThanDead.com, and wherever you get your podcasts.
That's right.
With that being said, hey, we talk about sports, we talk about music, we talk about entertainment.
I make things really awkward sometimes.
That sounds about right.
Uh-huh.
With that being said, though, as you always know, we are Better Live Than Dead.
You're not.
We'll catch you sometime very soon.
All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Listening Podcast. John Spino here. Brandon Guerrero there. That's your cue to say yo again.
Oh, it is? I had to do that once a show. Figured they knew I was here still.
What the hell? Trying to lighten the mood back from segment 1 a little bit,
I thought I did that in the break, but...
Maybe you did. I don't know. Yes, you did on the break, which it'll be available on our Patreon page. How about that? We don't have a Patreon page, so it's not going to be available. Anyways, we might do a Patreon page at some point, but...
It's a great joke, though.
It was, dude, it's fucking hilarious. But I appreciate you and you're here, brother.
Thank you.
You know what else I appreciate too? Super Bowl 54 is this coming Sunday. Kansas City.
Super Bowl's getting old, man.
It is. It's getting old.
A few years ago, that Super Bowl got the jelly finger. Had to get his prostate checked.
Future Hall of Famer Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs take on Mr. Aaron Andrews, Jimmy Garoppolo, and the San Francisco 49ers. in Super Bowl 54. And before Brandon and I get into our, takes and views on the Super Bowl or whatever, I'm actually going to kick it right over to the BLTD studios really quickly, where Ryan Wolfe and Luis Perez are sitting by to talk the Super Bowl predictions as well. Guys, take it away.
Hey, everybody. Ryan Wolfe from the Better Live Than Dead podcast, joined by Mr. Perez himself.
What's up, peoples?
We're here to talk about the Super Bowl, the big game. I don't know if we can say Super Bowl. We might get fined or get hit with a lawsuit by the NFL because they love to do that. But, Lewis, hey, guess what? We're here to talk about the Super Bowl. Who cares what the NFL thinks? They're a bunch of bitches. We've got the Kansas City Chiefs. We've got the San Francisco 49ers, a matchup some people may have seen coming because these two teams just so happen to be really freaking good. So, Lewis, on the surface, what are we looking at here in the Super Bowl coming up here in a couple days?
We're looking at two great defenses. We're looking at two dynamic offenses. It's going to be one or two things is going to happen. I don't think we're going to have a middle of the road game here. We're either going to have a defensive gem, which people are going to hate, or we're going to have an absolute shootout, which other people are going to hate. I almost wonder if we don't get a matchup kind of like the last two games that Kansas City's played to get to the Super Bowl, right, where San Francisco might find themselves up 17-3, 17-7, 24-7, whatever it may be. And then all of a sudden Kansas City turns it on and just gets it. And then maybe it'll be like, I think almost maybe like a little bit of both, where we may get a defensive struggle. We may have a team. It might be like it might be like the Falcons Patriots Super Bowl, where the Falcons take a big lead and then things kind of get a little crazy towards the end. I really wonder if that happens because, San Francisco has done a hell of a job this postseason. They shut down Aaron Jones. They made the Green Bay Packers look human, which going into that game at 13-3, not many people had done that. Right. So
San Francisco, look at San Francisco. Jimmy Garoppolo threw the ball like 8 times the whole game. That's how dominant the defense and the run game was. So again, at some point in time, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have to win them a game, which he did this year during the regular season. But in the postseason, there may come a time where he has to win them a game. I just don't know if it's going to be the Super Bowl, and that might work out well for the 49ers.
It might. We'll see. I'm hoping it. It's going to be an interesting game. I can see the first half being a defensive struggle, and then the second half, they figure things out, and everyone just starts, scoring like crazy. I think this is going to be a really good Super Bowl. I'm looking forward to this one. Obviously, I don't have a dog in the fight. Neither one of my teams are my favorite teams. You know what? I guess I do have a dog in the fight because I can't stand the San Francisco 49ers, and I don't want them to win a Super Bowl because I don't want 3 teams to have more rings than the Dallas Cowboys do.
So you're going with the Chiefs? I
am going with the Chiefs.
I feel like my heart wants to say Kansas City, but my head says San Francisco. So I'm going to go with San Francisco on this one, just if nothing else, to create things, to create a little drama.
I kind of feel the same way, but I'm going with the Chiefs.
Excuse me. Both myself and Lewis will be doing a Super Bowl preview cast the weekend before the Super Bowl. So I guess the week before the Super Bowl, next handful of days here. So keep an eye out for that over at betterlivethandead.com. But with that being said, as always, we are Better Live Than Dead.
You're not.
Back to you, John, in the studio.
Thank you, Ryan. And you can catch the BLTD podcast here on the Gear Radio Network every week or every other week or whenever the hell they do it. You can catch it here. Brandon and I are
Thanks,
back.
Ryan. That was tremendous.
It was tremendous, wasn't it?
It was.
Brandon and I back with you here to talk the Super Bowl. Brandon, Perez picked Kansas City. I more the selfish reason he doesn't want he doesn't want another team to supersede the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, well,
San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, because the Cowboys are going to be stuck in fucking neutral for the rest of their fucking life.
Perez picks Kansas
Super Bowls
City.
away. Maybe it'll motivate them. Fucking bums.
Perez picks Kansas City. Ryan said his heart, or maybe I don't know. This is what he said. I don't remember. His heart says Kansas City. His mind says San Francisco. He picked San Francisco. He picked San Francisco to be different from Perez. Obviously, I'm sticking with my homie Patrick Mahomes with Kansas City. Brandon, who you got?
Green Bay. Oh, wait, they're not there.
Yeah, no, they're not there.
I gotta pick one of these two teams.
This would have been an entire Brandon. We would have had a podcast last week if Green Bay got in.
It would have been jovial.
We would have had a podcast because I would have had my Chris Berman Super Bowl.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't have because we were limited on time last week.
We were limited. I would have found time.
Oh.
I would have found time for it because I would have, but for at least 3 minutes because I would have relished in the fact that my Berman Super Bowl. My Gear Network Berman Super Bowl would have happened, but there's always next year for that.
Because the Berman one is the Bills and the 49ers.
Yes, but in the Gear Network, in the Gear Network hemisphere, Kansas City, San Fran has been my Super Bowl pick for the past 3 years. So, or Kansas City, Green Bay rather, has been my Super Bowl pick for the past 3 years. But anyways, Kansas City, San Fran. Brandon, who you got?
This is a tight one, but I'm gonna go with Kansas City. I just think that Mahomes is on a roll right now. I think that he is looking to become the guy. I think he got that lesson last year from the GOAT, and I think he took it, he learned from it, and he just looks to be back on that level again. Their offense is really dynamic. Who do you cover? You want to put Richard Sherman on one side of the field, and Tyreek Hill's not going to be there. And I got news for you: Tyreek Hill is way faster than Richard Sherman.
Yes.
So if that's your cover guy for Tyreek Hill, it's going to be a long night for Richard Sherman. But if they find a way to double, then they've got Watkins still. They've still got guys coming out of the backfield, and not to mention probably one of the best tight ends in the game in Travis Kelce. They got a good line. The defense has played better. I think that if Kansas City can start putting up points and gets a stop, it's going to have to take the 49ers out of this run game offense that they've been running the last couple of games, where they get a lead and then they just start running it down your throat. If they don't get a lead, it's going to be on Jimmy G. And I have just not seen enough from Jimmy G to think that he's going to outduel Patrick
All right, we're
Mahomes.
back, ladies and gentlemen, here on the podcast. The majority of the stat line here between the two teams is relatively even.
I had to do that
when you look at total yards per team.
What the hell?
San Francisco 381 yards average per game. Kansas City 379.2. I don't know. Passing yards is
yes, you did on the break. Which
Kansas City on average averages 281.
When you throw the ball 8 yards or 8 times in a game in the NFC Championship game, you're not going to get that.
Right.
We might do a Patreon page.
San Francisco is 237 yards. This is the big one. To your point, Brandon, the rushing yards. San Francisco averages 144.1 rushing yards per game.
What else I appreciate
Kansas City only averages 98.1. But the rest, if you go down the line of yards per play, points per game, fumbles lost per game, penalties per game, passing yards, not passing yards.
A few years ago, that Super Bowl got the jelly
seismic in the favor of Kansas City.
And it gets prostate.
But points allowed, that type of stuff, it is virtually
the Kansas City Chiefs take
this is on paper. This is
Mr. Aaron Andrews,
a pretty even Super Bowl.
San Francisco 49ers.
Quite an even Super Bowl, but I would
a lot
agree.
of red on the field.
And before we,
and they're both going to wear red.
Into our,
I know,
takes,
a lot of red.
Which I thought that I'm actually going to kick it right over to the BLTD studios really quickly.
They petitioned to wear white,
and
the white
Luis Perez
throwbacks.
sitting by.
It was the throwbacks.
Super Bowl prediction
as
well.
Remember, it's the one they won their last Super Bowl in with the shadowed letters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Thank
the
you,
one
Ryan.
where that owner from the freaking Sunset Lanes bowling alley had that obvious bootleg Montana jersey with the shadow letters.
Yeah, you didn't wear those jerseys.
No,
Brandon and I are
Thanks,
back.
Ryan. That was tremendous.
It was tremendous, wasn't it? All right, so Ryan, my friend, you are the lone participant here on this podcast.
Perez,
that is pick San Francisco. Perez, myself, Brandon, all have Kansas City. We will learn.
He doesn't want another
of their fate.
The Dallas Cowboys.
San Francisco,
because the Cowboys are going to be stuck in fucking neutral
next week to discuss that, and not only just that, but Brandon,
Perez
we are
taking
Kansas City
away. Maybe it'll motivate motivate
to
them.
the XFL, baby. The XFL season.
Fucking
Get
bums.
pumped, Brandon. Perez picks Kansas
The fuck
City.
is the
Ryan
XFL?
said his heart, or maybe I don't know. Something we may or may not talk about.
We
His heart
just
says
listened to
Kansas
it.
City. His mind says San Francisco. He picked San Francisco. The season finale. San Francisco to be different,
late spring, early summer.
From
They're
Perez.
not both wearing red. They
Obviously,
can't both
I'm
wear
sticking
red.
with my homie
Just so you
Patrick
know.
Mahomes.
I thought that I
with
read that
Kansas
they
City.
were
Brandon
both
they're
wearing
not.
some
49ers are going to wear
variation
Green
of
Bay.
They are
Oh,
going
wait,
to
they're
wear
not
their
there.
whites. Yeah,
Fuck
no,
yeah,
no,
they
they're
did
not
come
there.
with some
These two
controversy
teams-
because he told me
this would have been an
they were
entire-
allowed to wear.
Brandon, we would have had a podcast.
They were pushing to wear their all-white
Green Bay got
1994
it.
uniforms
We
for the Super Bowl.
We would have had a podcast.
But they're going
I
to
would
stick
have
with
had my Chris Berman
present day whites, so it's going to be the gold pants, white jersey. Chiefs are going to wear the red.
last week.
Okay, all right, that makes a lot more sense.
Chiefs are the home team, so
but for at least 3 minutes, because I would have.
Yeah, it should be that way anyways. But
if the Niners,
they wanted to wear their
Your
white
Network Berman Super Bowl would have,
like
but that's all
the
white.
year, but because the Berman one is the Bills and the 49ers.
Yes, right. In the Gear Network, if they were cool, they would be okay with Kansas City, San Fran, my Super Bowl
uniforms with their new Ram helmets.
Kansas City, Green Bay. I can't.
That's over though this year, I think.
But anyway, yeah, it's supposed to be over this year. Their new uniforms are supposed to drop in the offseason as well. The Dirty Birds are apparently getting new uniforms too. I didn't.
Yeah, I heard about that. I just think
I don't know what possibly
right
they could. I don't know what they're going to do there. But hopefully, it's a refresh of the
looking to become
either the
guy.
Late 60s, early 70s uniforms with the red or
lesson last
the black
year. Go back with the classic black, go with the red helmet. And I think he took it.
Yes.
Red helmet, black Falcon. And he just looks to be
cool, but as far as
bring back the creamsicles, their offense is really dynamic.
Absolutely.
Who do you cover?
For the Rams uniforms, I don't know. I'm partial to the blue and yellow. But I had heard rumors about them going even farther back and going with the navy blue and white.
So if that's I'm okay with that, actually. I like Tyreek. Yeah, it's going to be a long night for Richard Sherman.
I'm good with those two, but
if they find a way to double,
I like that. There's something about the blue and the yellow that
still got guys coming out of the backfield.
Anyways, Brandon, got anything else for the listening audience here?
Best tight ends in the game, and Travis Kelce.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there. And
the defense has played better.
Thank you all very much. That's like the official go home segment. Brandon, do you have anything? Nope. Thank you.
Kansas City.
That's
can start
you've done
putting
that for
up
the last
points
4 podcasts here, but
and gets us.
Anyways,
but
yeah, whatever. I don't know, but that's going to do it for the listening podcast. Everybody here on the Gear Radio Network, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to us.
Where they get
and thanks very much for all of your support, which includes listening to the commercials before and after the podcast.
I've just not seen enough from Jimmy G.
But as well, if you want to do a little more, hey, buy us a beer. On GearNetwork.com. Click the PayPal button right on the right hand side where those Amazon links used to be. Between the two click the PayPal button. Drop us a few bucks.
Yeah,
buy us a beer. At total yards per game.
You a beer.
San Francisco, buy me 1.1 yards. Well, okay, buy me a beer per game, and then buy Brandon a soda. Costs much less. Passing yards is a bit of a difference. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in. We'll be back next week.
When you throw the ball 8 yards or 8 times in a game,
Brandon, good day to you, sir. Right. What's that? San Francisco is 200. Oh, the NHL, yeah, the big one. To your point, San Francisco,
oh yeah, man,
104.1 rushing yards per game. Take a look. Kansas City only averages. All right, well, Brandon, next week. But the rest, until then, good day to you, sir.
You as well, sir.
Yards per play. So long, everybody. Good night now. Flavor Flav. Passing yards. Give me a yeah, boy for Kobe. That's quite seismic in the favor of Kansas City. But points allowed and that type of stuff, it is virtually even. This is on paper. This is quite
a pretty even Super Bowl.
Quite an even Super Bowl. But I would
a lot of red on the field too.
Yes, and they're both going to wear red.
I know. Just a lot of red.
Which I thought that I had read that the 49ers were going.
They petitioned to wear white. The white.
Yeah.
Throwbacks.
Well, it was the throwbacks was what it was. Like,
remember, it's the one they won their last Super Bowl in with the shadowed letters.
Yes, indeed. The one where that owner from the freaking Sunset Lanes bowling alley had that obvious bootleg Montana jersey with the shadow letters.
Yeah, he didn't wear those jerseys.
Like, no, that's not true. But all right. So, Ryan, my friend, you are the lone participant here on this podcast that has picked San Francisco. Perez, myself, Brandon all have Kansas City. We will learn of their fate on Sunday, and then Brandon and I will convene next week to discuss that. And not only just that, but Brandon, we are this much closer to the XFL, baby. The XFL season. Get pumped, Brandon.
The fuck is the XFL?
Yeah, something we may or may not talk about in future podcasts before the season finale in the summer, or the season finale in the late spring, early summer. But
they're not both wearing red. They can't both wear red. Just so you know.
I thought that I read that they were both wearing some
49ers are going to wear white.
They are going to wear their white.
Yeah, they did come with some controversy because he told the media they were going to be allowed to wear. They were pushing to wear their all white 1994 uniforms from the Super Bowl, but they're going to stick with their present day whites. So it's going to be the gold pants, white jersey.
Gotcha.
Chiefs are going to wear the red.
Okay, all right, that makes a lot more sense.
Chiefs are the home team. So
okay, well then that should be.
Yeah, it should be that way, anyways. But
if the Niners
wanted to wear their white. Like they're all whites, but the NFL said no because the NFL's not cool.
Right? No, they're not.
You know,
if they were cool, they would be okay with
stupid fucking gold uniforms with their new Ram helmets.
Oh
Real
God,
cool.
I can't.
That's over though this year. I think.
Yeah,
next year
it's supposed to be over this year. Their new uniforms are supposed to drop in the off season as well. The Dirty Birds are apparently getting new uniforms too. I didn't.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I don't know what possibly they could. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do there, but hopefully it's a refresh of the either the late 60s, early 70s uniforms with the red or the black.
Go
ones
back
from
to
the
the
90s.
Classic black, but go with the red helmet.
Yes.
Red
like
helmet,
that.
black Falcon.
That would be cool. But
as far as bring back the creamsicles.
Oh God, yes,
in Tampa.
Yes. Absolutely. And for the Rams uniforms, I don't know. I'm partial to the blue and yellow. But I heard rumors about them going even farther back and going with the navy blue and white.
I'm okay with that actually. I like. I think those are crisp too.
I'm good with those two, but I don't know. I like that. There's something about the blue and the yellow that I like when I see those. But anyways, Brandon, got anything else for the listening audience here?
Nope. Thank you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there, and thank you all very much. That's like the official go home thing. We said, Brandon, do you have anything? Nope. Thank you. You know, that's I think you've done that the last 4 podcasts here, but anyways, yeah, whatever. I don't know, but that's going to do it for the Listening Podcast. Everybody here on the Gear Radio Network, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to us. And thanks very much for all of your support, which includes listening to the commercials before and after the podcast, during the podcast as well. But as well, if you want to do a little more, hey, buy us a beer on gearnetwork.com. Click the PayPal button right on the right-hand side where those Amazon links used to be. Just click the PayPal button. Drop us a few bucks. Buy us a beer. And that would be...
Buy you a beer. I think I'm going to quit drinking.
Well, okay, buy me a beer, and buy Brandon a soda. Costs much less. But anyways, thank you all for tuning in. We'll be back next week to talk the Super Bowl and maybe the XFL. Who knows? But Brandon, good day to you, sir.
Baby.
What's that?
The Seattle Krakens. That's what we talk about.
The NHL. Yes. Yeah. They named it. Is that
those unis look dope? Oh yeah, man, they look dope too.
I'll Google those. Take a look at them. But all right, well, Brandon, next week. Until then, good day to you, sir.
You as well, sir.
So long, everybody. Good night now. Flavor Flav. Give me a yeah, boy for Kobe.
Yeah, boy.
Hang on, one more thing before you go. Remember, listen to our sponsors following this podcast, as that does help this podcast and this network out in a way that we appreciate very, very much. So if you could just ride it out 30 to 60 more seconds after this podcast is over, listen to those commercials, it would be doing us a very, very big solid. And again, we thank you.
This has been a presentation of the Gear Radio Network. For more, log on to gearnetwork.com.